Got a question for you. What drives you every day?
The desire or the constant kind of searching or looking, but also the balance of happiness, contentment and inner peace. That's what drives me. More people would rather die, and I mean die, than do public speaking. If you're faking or lying and you're misdirecting, then you're a dickhead, innit? Everyone's gonna think net profit 5 mil. Me, the most fucking outcast anyone, I won't say names because of libel and slander and defamation, things like that. I'm not getting sued. People care so much about the opinion of people who don't care about them. Like, too much.
So what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Visionation Success Stories podcast. My guest with me here today is the one and only Tej. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm happy to be in Birmingham. I'm happy to see this view. The sun's kind of coming out. Yeah, man, I'm chilled.
Happy to be in Birmingham? Sure.
Listen, I love Birmingham, man. Maybe because I'm not from here, but I love Birmingham. There's so much character. There's so much going on. Like, so many good clubs, good food. I like it, man.
That's how it is, man. When you from somewhere else, you always find the other cities nice. But yeah, so let's get straight into it. Got a question for you. What drives you every day?
Good question. Yeah. I was gonna say it feels like it drives me sometimes. I would say that the kind of the desire or the constant kind of searching or looking, but also the balance of happiness, contentment, and inner peace. That's what drives me, in the sense that when I wake up, okay, yeah, I do think, right, I got this many calls to do, I've got this to do in this business, this to do here. Like, there's obviously a to-do list. There's obviously stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that, or like designing some stuff. And there is that which drives me just on a real, like, basic level of, like, I like completing tasks. You know, when you do a to-do list and it goes ding, like that noise is like dopamine rush for me. I love just doing things, right, whatever it is. But then deeper than that, is this bringing me happiness? Is it bringing me joy? Is it bringing me peace? Is it allowing me to do what I want to do? Or is it kind of dragging me and forcing me to do something that I'm doing for the sake of it? So yeah, there's no like, 100 million, 10 years, this many businesses. It's more just like, I'm driven to be the best human I can be, whether that's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever. And that kind of drives me. But at the same time, that drive is almost not held back, but it's balanced by being present and being like, well, I'm alive, I'm happy with what I have, but I still want more, but I'm happy with what I have. So yeah, there's a drive, but there's also a balancing force as well, which I think is needed.
Mm-hmm. So you say some things that you want to do that you base off if you want to do it or for the sake of it. So would you say that everything that you pretty much do, like most of it, is that you want to do it?
Yeah, and I think if it's something I don't want to do, I'm doing it to learn it so I can then outsource it. So I just bought a cleaning business and there's bits in it which I'm like, at the moment I'm doing, but I know that, this needs to be made into tech, or I need to hire someone, or I need to pass the responsibility and pay someone more. So in a sense, yeah, I'm doing it. I don't enjoy that element, but in my head, I'm doing it so I know how to outsource it. I mean, look, am I saying that I enjoy 100% of all tasks that I do every single day? No. But generally speaking, I will only take on a task or assign a business responsibility to myself if, I know I can do it sustainably and in the long term, and that I enjoy it, because life's too short, to be sitting there, doing my bookkeeping. I used to do my bookkeeping, and you can pay people £5 an hour to do bookkeeping, or in the UK, £30 an hour. I'd rather do that. Yeah, I lose £30, but I gain life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you said you got that cleaning business now, because I was there on Dee's event when you were talking about it, and you explained how you got it and the kind of financials behind it. It was quite interesting. So how's it been for you owning a cleaning business? Because we obviously in our company we have a cleaning business now, and I know the struggles.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the struggles that you have, I don't have. So because yours is like domestic and it's Airbnb and it's people checking out every other day and you need to get people in, and maybe sometimes you want the cleaner to kind of look and check things and be a bit more than a cleaner. I don't have any of that because it's commercial. It's like, okay, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, 2 hours a day, same place, same cleaner, same tasks, cleaning cupboards there, crack on. And they've done it for years, you know, a lot of cleaners and a lot of my cleaners with the previous owner. So, you know, when I bought it, I thought, okay, there will be challenges, as there is in everything, but it's actually been really passive. I was speaking to D yesterday, we were filming some content, and he was like, how is it? And I was like, I'm a bit bored, you know, because I kind of thought I'd be doing more to get more, but at this stage, and it's been, I think, 2 months, maybe 2.5 months, I'm just not doing that much because it's, to be fair, credit to the previous owner, it's well set up. The cleaners, I mean, they turn up. If they don't turn up, it's I will get a message and there'll be an actual reason. And, you know, and they're incentivized to turn up because they get paid by the hour. They only get paid if they work. So I'm really enjoying it because I'm not doing much, but I'm also really enjoying it because now I'm growing it after I've stabilized it and dealt with, you know, a few issues that always happen on kind of handover, hired some more staff. I'm now growing it into more commercial in my area. I'm in Hertfordshire. And I'm also growing it into domestic, but very specifically end of tenancy and builders cleans. I'm not doing Doris who wants her house cleaned 2 times a week or 2 times a month. At this stage, it's primarily big, bulky jobs that I'll have a week or 2-ish of notice that I can schedule in. So I'm thinking strategically on how to add income streams to the business, but to do it in a way that isn't going to be nuts and isn't going to drive me crazy. Because say I did SA cleaning, because people have asked me and I've said I'm not doing it. I'm not getting involved because I own an SA, I own 2, and I'm like, no. If I did it, sure, I could make more money, right? Yeah. But I'd rather not. I'd rather just not have the money and just chill.
Yeah, it's the hassle that comes with it because, like you said, it's different with it. It's like, so yours, is it like houses or is it like communal areas and stuff as well?
No, so it is, at the moment it's commercial. So it's basically, I mean, just look around us, like any office, residential, not residential, any office, any commercial, any shop. I've got factory. I mean, we work with like Travis Perkins, Sunbelt, Edmonton's, there's some big names in there. So like builders merchants, we've got quite a few. We've got a private hospital, healthcare facility. I'm going this week to quote for some, like again, some household names. So it's kind of any type of commercial premises apart from like a nuclear factory, we will do. And the current clients are quite diverse in commercial.
Would you enjoy it more if it was a bit more hands-on and it was as not as structured as you found it to be?
No, I wouldn't, you know. Like I can be as hands-on as I want. I can spend 6 hours a day on it doing new business, or I don't. And I mean, I'm paying people to do the new business anyway, but I could do that or I don't do it. And obviously it makes a difference to the business, right? Like one will generate more income, one won't, but I don't have to. And, you know, in a day, how often will I communicate with cleaners? I would say once a day on weekdays. Well, I do have cleaners on the weekend. One texted me today, software wasn't working. And I said, if you open the right app, we've got 2 apps we use, one for check-in, one for HR. And I said, send me a screenshot. He sent me the HR. I said, you're trying to check in using the HR software. I said, if you use the right app, I think you might be able to check in then. So like once a day, there'll be something like that, which is like on my phone, I can do it, 5-10 minutes, done. I might get the odd, oh, can you order this chemical, this mop, this stuff? You know, but no, I like it being as sort of hands off as it is. And if I want to do more, I will, which I am.
Would you say that running this business because you bought it has been easier than your previous business or current business that you have that you started yourself?
To an extent, it's kind of the same. So the last business was property, which has become super passive for me in the sense that I do manage my properties. They are 200 miles away, but I speak to tenants once a month. I've got like a maintenance company, you know, in place. So they get all the calls of like, oh, this isn't working. Then they tell me later. So that is fairly passive as it is. But I would say if I look at, say, like my recruitment business that I started when I was 23, not passive whatsoever. If I didn't make calls, I didn't make money. If I didn't spend 4 hours on LinkedIn, I didn't make money. It was what you put in is what you get out. Whereas a property, and with this, you know, the last owner said to me, Tej, with this cleaning business, you'll probably, you know, I spend about 5 hours a week on the business. Most of it's texting cleaners, ordering materials, or doing, you know, stupid admin. He didn't use QuickBooks or anything proper. So if I look at, you know, 5 hours a week, let's call it 20 hours a month, to earn, you know, 4 to 5 grand a month net profit before tax, it's not proportionate, right? And with property, same thing. I spend 3 hours a month if that, like on managing a portfolio. Okay, if I've got a leak and there's a refurb, of course that goes up naturally. But, you know, I compare that to recruitment where I would be spending 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, every single month for years to earn kind of similar, maybe a little bit more in income. So buying it definitely meant that I just sort of slip in kind of halfway and just get to take the income and have existing clients. Whereas in recruitment, yeah, I had my first client in like a month or two, but that's quite unusual. Like in SA, like in deal sourcing, things take time. So yeah, definitely much quicker income than if I'd started it. Because yeah, starting a cleaning business would have taken me 3 to 6 months to see actual profit versus day one there's profit. You know, it's very different, I'd say.
Yeah. I think you need to go through that. Like, you know, you said with your with your recruitment, you would, what you put in what is what you get out. I think you need to experience that first before you can start having passive income, if that makes sense. Yeah,
you have to understand it, and it also makes it all that sweeter when you have passive income, because you're like, flipping heck, man, what was I doing all those hours for? Now I've got assets that generate this. Like, this is, you know, this is cool. And plus, if you never worked hard and then you suddenly think you're going to get a passive portfolio or, you know, passive investments like that, it's just not going to happen, right? So you need some sort of hard work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, like you mentioned before about property, you say property is boring. Why do you think? Why would you say property is boring? Do you think it's like some people can have a passion for it, or?
Oh yeah, man. Like, I think we both know people and know people who will do it till they die. They will build humongous portfolios, and we can see some of the buildings that are out there. They're being built by people like that who are passionate about it. It's a great asset. It's great for generating cash in terms of flips as well. You know, there's so many ways to do it, and I think it's such a good asset. Like, I love it, right? But it's boring because it's antiquated, it's old school, it's, you know, slow solicitors, you know, cowboy builders 95% of the time, irritating brokers, irritating mortgage lenders or bridges. It's just like you're dealing with idiots constantly, and like that gets really boring and mind-numbing pretty quick. And I appreciate in every business you're dealing with idiots, but in property I find so much of it nonsensical because it's so outdated. You just look at it and think, like, this really shouldn't be happening. Whereas if it was a tech business, we'd say, that's happening, let's code something to fix that. Let's use AI to fix it. Let's change that. Whereas in property, you can't, because you're bound by the laws and land reg and all the structures that exist. So I just find that massively boring. And look, I love interior design. You know, we were speaking about this place when we came in, and I love designing things and seeing them kind of built. But I did a lot in property very quickly. And I think me as a person, I have a lack of focus sometimes, and I kind of enjoy working on different things. And I always have an expiry date, you know. So like property for me, I knew 3 to 4 years, I'd get bored, I'd be out. M&A that I'm doing right now, 2 years, I'm gone. You know what I mean? So, and then whatever I do next is what I do. You know what I mean? So like I kind of knew that was coming. I just get bored easily as well.
Would you say you had a passion for it when you started?
I had a passion for interior design, for the legals, because I love like law and legal packs and litigation. I just love, no one loves litigation, but I love reading and understanding it. I had a passion for those two things. And I would say a passion for building a portfolio, having assets. That's not passion, that's just like I want a portfolio, I want assets. And that might be part of my issue. I only had the passion of 2 things when there's like 20 other things in property, which means I should have been an interior designer or, you know, a solicitor or both. So I didn't have as much passion as like people we know, you know, at all.
Like, you know how they say, some people say you should go into something that you have passion for, and some people say it shouldn't matter what your passion is, because then when you get into working for it, it's different. What would you say on that? What side do you land on?
You know what? It's a tricky one. I think about this sometimes because I always see the videos, right, of one person saying that view, one person saying that view. I think, you know, when they say, oh, if you do a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. And that can be true if you outsource the shitty parts and you generally, you know, have a good business and you're the kind of person who enjoys the process and enjoys challenges. But if you're not a self-employed, you're not an entrepreneur, you're an employee, and you will be for life, which some people will be, no issue with that. The economy needs that to run. If you're that kind of person, and therefore you're also maybe the kind of person who isn't going to work hard, doesn't like the process, just wants, you know, the car, the 6-pack, the 20 units, you are gonna work every single day of your life because you don't enjoy the process. So for me, I don't even think it's about passion. I think if you enjoy the process or a process and you can work hard and you can work smart, then it doesn't matter as much because you're like, okay, like for me, okay, I like things being clean, but I'm not like a sort of, I'm not passionate about cleaning, right? And some of my cleaners are. They're like, oh, I'm really weird, I just love cleaning. I'm like, great, that's why you're a good cleaner. So I think, like in this example, for example, me not having a passion for it doesn't matter because I enjoy the process. I don't mind doing the cold calls, doing the client visits, designing things, you know, doing email marketing. I don't mind doing that. And so even though I'm not massively passionate about it, I'm still going to crack on and get it done. If it was a business I was passionate about, hospitality, something like that, like food and drink, would I be 10% more motivated in the process? Yes, I would be. Of course I would be. But I would still enjoy the process and I would still do the process because I'm building a business. I'm building something that I enjoy, which is business. And it happens to be a cleaning one. It happens to be this. It happens to be that. So passion is important. You know, it definitely helps. You know, if I said to you, right, work 10 hours and you get a Lamborghini, or work 10 hours and you get a Nissan Micra, you know, which one's going to motivate you more? It's a clear answer, right? So it helps when you have something you want going for. People need to love the process. That's for me above all else.
But the process also depends on the purpose of it. So like you said with your recruitment, for example, someone can start that business just based off the monetary value. Like, okay, I'm going to make like this much money a month, or, you know, I'm going to get this car, this, that, and the other. But you could start a business, like, for example, in property, and you think my goal is to, I don't know, put people in houses or something like that. So that's like that's not quantifiable. So would you not say that's part of what the process is? Because I'm struggling to understand what you mean, like, by going through, enjoying the process, because someone can enjoy the process, but if their purpose is just to make money, that's not going to leave them satisfied. That's what I do.
No, I agree 100%. So passion and purpose are different, right? So I could be passionate about, let's say property. So I'm passionate about interior design and the legal process, but my purpose is to build myself a beautiful interior designed property portfolio that provides me an income. And yeah, in this case, the purpose is money, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the only things that I've done where the purpose was money. And I knew that. Did that change my interior design? Did that change the way I treated my tenants? The quality of finish? No, not at all. But it was the only thing I did for money, right? Because I knew that once that money came in, the real purpose, the real passions could come alive, right? Because, and this is a different discussion, but because everything is covered, right? When we talk about that, but like when your finances are covered and you're set and you don't have to worry about money, you're a different person, right? Like you can just literally do what you want to do. And so in that case, yes, my passion and my purpose were different. My passion wasn't money. I'm not passionate about money. Yeah. I'm passionate about exploring the world, which money pays for, right? But I'm not passionate about money, but that was the purpose. And so with the cleaning business, my passion is simply in taking a business and doubling it, tripling it, quadrupling it, right? Do I need an extra 150 grand a year income? No. Why am I doing it? Because that's fun and I enjoy it, right? It's a way of measuring, like how many podcast listens you get, right?
Yeah.
It's a way of measuring the game of building a business. So that's my passion, and my purpose is to provide my clients with excellent cleaning so that they never speak to me. That's the difference for me between passion and purpose. And then when it comes to the process, what I mean is, even if you are not 100% passionate about something. Now, I'm not saying people should do jobs they open businesses they hate or they have no interest in. But I'm this passionate about some things, this passionate about others, and this passionate about others. Whichever level of passion I'm on for that subject, my purpose and my belief in the process should in an ideal world, and I aim for this, should be the same, irrespective of the passion.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like 3 different things going on here, which interlink, but in my head are separate, which means that I can grow a cleaning business, I can scale it like crazy, even though it's not like my number one passion.
Yeah. I just think it's better if you are if you are passionate about something that you're doing. Because I don't feel like, obviously it's easy, they say you don't feel like you're working, whatever. I don't feel like I'm working hard. I could spend the whole day just like, I don't know, podcasting or whatever. I don't feel like I'm working hard generally because it's just talking. To me, that's not like working hard, but that just makes me happy, and that makes me, and that's part of the process. But I just think that just makes it easier.
It is, I agree with you. It's 100% easier. Yeah, of course. If you don't enjoy it, or if it's not your number one passion, it will be harder. It will take more effort, but you can still grow it to the same level.
Yeah. Because I can see the other side of it as well, where they say, your passion, it can ruin your passion as well.
Yeah, of course.
Because there's certain parts of this, like I was telling you before we started the podcast, like I manage all this stuff myself, and I have to come here and I have to set this up, and I have to move it because I don't have a studio. I have to do this, and I was thinking about it this morning. I was like, honestly, I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered. But
I feel like that.
When I think about all the times after I've done the podcast and how good I feel, I'm like, you know what, I might as well just do it. It's one of those ones, because I've felt like not doing it so many times. Sometimes I feel pumped for it, sometimes I don't. But I know once I just come here and I just put everything here, and then one day, like you said, it was the outsourcing. Once you can outsource those parts, once I can just have a studio, have everything set up, just walk into the studio, hello Tej,
100%.
bye, and then go home. That's it. I don't have to do anything else. So I think it's just about that, like, your work, like work ethic. So yeah, speaking about, sitting here having a conversation about a podcast, you have your own podcast as well.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on the current podcast market and what people are doing? And you always have your controversial opinions.
Yeah, no, I do listen. A lot of you are just waste man, because like real talk, and you know who you are. There's so many podcasts coming out right now that aren't actually podcasts, because they're not audio, so they're not a podcast, because a podcast is audio. So they're not on Spotify, they're not on Apple, they're nothing. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, they're not even like long form. So people will record a podcast like this purely just for the snippets, right? Not an issue, but this is not a podcast, right? And thirdly, a lot of the time it will just be done for the snippets. So we're sitting here and it'd be like, yeah, Ted, so I saw the other day, like, you spent 400 quid at this place. Talk to me about that. Or like, yeah, I saw you liked one of Andrew Tate's posts. What are you saying? Do you hate women? Or something. It will just be asked to get that clip, and it'll be like, yeah, wicked, we've got 30 seconds in there, chuck it on. And we were speaking about this earlier, about quality. 99% of these new ones, your quality is pathetic. Yeah? It's like filmed on a fucking toaster. It looks like a Nokia 3310, whatever it is. It's a clip, super zoomed in, super bad lighting, contrast isn't set, there's no mastering, there's no, like, the LUT levels aren't looked at. It's just literally them like, oh, bro, let me put it in InShot, and then let me, like, edit it, and then here's a podcast. And it's like, it's just so mind-numbing to see it, to see the quality, to see the dead discussions, the dead guests who have no bio or background, where you're like, oh, sorry, what do you do? Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? No, you're just talking shit. And then, like, to see so many of those, you just look at it and say, it's kind of killing what, like, a podcast was about. Like, maybe it's a new genre, of just trash, short form trash. But like, a podcast is like 30 to 40 minutes, an hour, discussion, deep dive in, different top. Like, there's a certain, you can do it any way you like, but a podcast and like a YouTube podcast have a certain way of being done. And the quality pisses me off so much, because it's so bad that, like, I just think, who's going to watch it? I'm like, I appreciate, look, these cameras are expensive. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's like $5,000 of equipment here, right? We'll look at the mix, just for what? For this, $5,000 of equipment, plus 100 quid to edit it, plus, you know what I mean? There's a lot of cost in this one single video. So, like, I get that, like, it's expensive, yeah? I'm not expecting Netflix quality, but if you're going to do it properly. Hire a studio, go on, there's a website like Fat Llama or something. You can hire these cameras for like 60 quid an hour. I don't know, it's cheap. Yeah. Like, people need to go on there and use that. And it's funny though, because a lot of these people get offended if you say no to coming on the podcast. And if you say no because your videos are ridiculously low quality and the conversations are shit, they get offended. I don't know why, but people get offended. So,
how many podcasts have you rejected?
a lot. Like, I mean, I probably get asked to be on one a couple times a week. And how many have you seen me on?
A few.
A few.
No, every couple of months, I'd say.
Every couple of months. So like, I pick and choose. But also, I was speaking to Shaz about this. Like, I think I'm unapproachable as well. Like, I think people realize I'm going to respond like this, so they don't ask me as much. So I think if I was just like, and just, oh hey, I'm doing like, I'd get a lot more requests. But I think I don't, because people expect a response like that.
Yeah, like you said, man, it's really saturated now. Like, what would you say you look for in the podcast? So like, you say when people approach you, and ours was like both ways, kind of. So what would you say you look for specifically in the podcast? I know from myself, like you said, people do it for the virality and the clips and stuff. Like, I enjoy making the clips, and some of them do go viral. But the end goal is, in my head, is like, okay, I get 100k views on TikTok for it, but I don't really give a shit about 100k views. I want them to go to my YouTube channel and subscribe and watch my video on YouTube.
Yes.
Not the clip.
That's your advertisement, right? The reels and all that stuff, we have to do it because it works. So I get why people do it. Like, we both do reels, like from podcasts, from things like that. But you know, you're doing the kind of podcast of getting people to watch the hour and not just see 30 seconds of us talking, but actually see the whole conversation and get to know us. So I generally, for me, I'm such a stickler for like audio visual quality. Like, if it's not where it should be, I'm not interested, because YouTube is a wonderful thing. You can type in how to film podcasts, how to set up lighting, and you can really, really make some sexy ass videos just from the right positioning, lighting, using the 3x3 grid. Like, for me, it's unforgivable to have bad quality, like, or to have badly scripted or bad. For me, it's like, look, if these things are on the internet for free, and I can type in how to do this, and I can actually, you can't type in how to invest in property. It's not free. There's information, but really you've got to pay to go deep. But if it's free and there's literally step-by-step guides and videos, and then for me, I'm like, if you haven't taken the initiative to do that, it's not worth an hour of my time to sit here, talk to you, when the output is going to be crap. You know, you and I wouldn't sit here working on a business element for an hour, and if it turns out the result is shit, we're going to be like, we're not releasing that, or we're not going to push that to our customers. And that happens in business, but I'm not here for that for someone else, and I wouldn't expect them to do it for me. If someone's on my podcast, they come here, we film, we set up, output's good, they send the footage to me, they send the audio to me, so I can promo their podcast, and we're good. So quality is a big thing to me. Sharing footage is a big thing. You know, if people want their podcast to go far, and I want to value my time and they value our time, they'll send the footage to me if I need it, so we can both do reels, do collabs, for example, get stuff out there. I also look at their previous conversations to kind of see, like, how are you asking questions? What are you asking? How are your guests responding? Do you have an agenda? Do you do your research on guests? You know, are some hosts are like, yeah, so I heard you invest in, like, you know, hotels, and the guy's like, no, I do. He's like, oh yeah, so property, and I'm like, like, we all saw that, right? So yeah, those are a few things I look for, and I would say to most people who have a brand and are building something, you need to be careful what's representing you and how you're being represented, whether it's your own content or someone else's content. Yeah,
I think like that thing you said about the person not researching, I don't know if that's passion or just stupidity, but for me it's like, I don't know if I could class it as me just thinking correctly, or it's my passion to go and research someone. Like, for example, I love the people I've had on, like yourself. I've just been following you, so I can see what you're doing, and I don't particularly need to research. I've watched a podcast of yours where you're speaking just to get that more information, but I don't particularly need to go out there and research. But if I'm someone new, then I might need to go watch a few of their podcasts to understand what kind of they're like, and you know, and know what to not ask. But you know, some people, they might just, you know, ask you questions that kind of put you on the spot and try to get reactions out of you.
Yeah. I've had it before. Not with reactions, because people know I'll just be like, shut up, I'm not answering that. But I've had it before where, like, the host was like, oh, so tell me about yourself. And I knew she hadn't researched me. I could just tell. And live on the podcast, I said, "What do you mean? What, you haven't done your research on me? So you invited me here, you haven't done your research on me?" No, I have, but like I just want to hear from your perspective. And I was like, "Okay, cool. Here's what I do." And then there were other questions where like it was, I can just tell, you know, when they meet you and they've got a notepad and say, "Right, so tell me what you do," and I'm like, "What? Like, why do you think I've built a brand? Why do you think I've got all this free content out there?" It's like, it's not because I think I'm so important, but it's like, I've got my CV here for you. Like, if you look at it, if you spend 15 minutes on my Instagram, my website, just literally boom, 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 you will know my whole bio. Like, you won't know the deep things that I talk about, but you will know, boom, 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 when he did it, how he did it. Yeah, cool. I can interview this guy now. And I just think a lot of the time, people don't put the time and effort in because they just want those clips. They just want so tell me about that, you know, or I saw this. So I think people need to do a lot better. And like, if you look at someone like Diary of a CEO, the biggest podcast in the world, he reads their books. He goes to the extreme of detail, but a lot of his questions are quite broad, which shows you don't need that detail. But what is really nice is when he says, you know, like on page 47 of your book, you said this. You know, do you still agree with that, or could you talk more about that? Imagine how gassed a guest feels when someone says like, "I remember that page and that paragraph. Tell me." And it makes you look like a sick interviewer as well. It's like a cheat code to just have it here and say, no one can see it. You know what I mean? So lots of things there.
Yeah. That's one thing I was just thinking about as well. Like, I don't know. To me, that seems like something obvious. Like, for example, I could just go to your YouTube and find any of the 100 videos that you've got and just pick one part. And be like, "Oh, you said something about this and this," and you realize that I've watched it, and then you can just quote, and it creates conversation rather than not doing any research and you're just asking the same questions, and you're like,
100%.
What can you gauge from that? I can't gauge much if I don't know about you, but I can get those questions, and that can lead to further conversation and stuff.
And my answers will be crap. If I asked you questions that were open, loose, generic, I didn't research you, you're going to be like, and you're going to look shit. So a bad host makes the guest look shit.
Yeah. So you've been on that side and this side as well. What would you say is harder?
It's definitely harder being a podcast host. One, because of the setup and the equipment. Two, because of the editing, the marketing, the pushing it out there, all that kind of stuff. But also, as a host, you have to almost control the conversation. You have to ensure that your topics that you want to cover are getting covered, to make sure the guest isn't talking too much or too little, I'm super confident, like there's no issue here, but like to make sure the guest, who could be very nervous, very anxious, not a good speaker, feels super comfortable and able to kind of speak. If they need a list of questions and you need to send it to them, some people work that way, some people don't. So there's so many things that you have to do, including watching the time, watching it's all recording, as well as control a conversation. And some people are not easy to control, and they won't go where you want it to go. And then you also have to listen to me with both ears, but then think with your whole brain about what's my next question. But you actually need to listen to me, not just think, here's my next question, So you're doing a lot as a host, right? So hosting is way harder. Okay,
because I've never been on that side. Not for a few years, I won't be anyway. So
listen, it's a lot easier.
People have told me, like the hosting part, it is quite difficult as well. Like you said, there's some people that might be nervous. There's some people that are easy to, like yourself. You're just an entertainer, man. So it just flows nicely. But some people, they might be a bit nervous. I had a guy recently, whose first podcast, and it's like I said to you, like I don't plan my questions anymore. I just do it, because I think that's conversation is better. So with someone like that first podcast, I was like, okay, I'll give you some questions, because then it makes it easier for you.
It does 100%.
He was a bit nervous at the start, and bro, like 20 minutes in, like he's a professional, man, and it's just about making that person feel comfortable as well. Because I know there will be a lot of podcasters out there that wouldn't make someone feel that comfortable with their very generic questions.
And some people expect, like, you follow me, so you know that I'm comfortable with this, but if you didn't do your research, you didn't watch my stuff, and I was like an introvert and I was really shy, and you come on here talking to introvert Ted like he's extrovert Ted, there's going to be a very different response, like in everything. And all that takes is you just watching the stuff to know, okay, cool. When I saw that podcast there, like if you think you have a nervous or anxious podcast guest, you should do more research. Not necessarily research, but you should watch them more in other podcasts in the first like 5-10 minutes. What did that host do to make them feel really welcome? Let me see if I can do something similar or emulate that, because the answer's in front of you. If they were comfortable for that whole hour, that host did something, do the same thing.
Yeah, or what they did wrong.
Yeah, or what they did wrong. Yeah, which is also something to learn from, right?
What would you say represents a good podcast host then? Because I don't think it's quantifiable as easy as quantify, because someone can have someone could be one type of podcast host, another one, and they could be both really good podcast hosts, but their styles are completely different.
Yeah. I think the first thing is just being a good communicator, because you could ask a question, I could ask a question, she could ask a question, they could ask a question. There's basically the same question, but we're all going to say it in different ways, which means you're going to get different answers from it. The person who can communicate the clearest and can ask a question that will elicit a good answer makes everyone look better. Shit question, shit answer. Good question, good answer. Now, of course, a good guest can save a shit question, but then people watching will have mixed opinions, because they'll say, but he was asking that, and then he answered that, which was a bit sort of left of that, and then he said that. So the main thing is like for you as a host to be understood by your guest. Now, you know, obviously there's some podcasts where they're just solo podcasts, or like where they may want to make their guests feel uncomfortable for whatever reason, but I think making guests comfortable, whatever that means, you know, in your style, in their style, it makes a really good host. Being able to research and then kind of regurgitate that information kind of back, knowing what to ask. I think knowing how to flow from question to question is one of the biggest challenges as a new podcast host. When I started compared to now, like those transitions they are tough, because like I said, you're listening, you're thinking, it's like you're doing this. So someone who can multitask actually is quite useful. Being a good listener, because I could say something and you say, you know, I've seen podcast hosts where the guest says something and then the host says, oh yeah. So for example, the guest will say, yeah, so we launched in October and it was like a really small launch, and the host will say, oh, so when did you launch then? Was it a big launch? You're like, you just said I launched in October and it was really small. You're not even listening to. So being able to listen, but then listen on a deeper level. So when I say stuff, some hosts will say, you mentioned listening on a deeper level. How does that apply to X, Y, Z? Or they'll say, yeah, I've seen podcasts like that. That's cool. And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but one is going to lead to me opening up about deeper listening, or, you know, whatever. So really picking up on cues and things. And also, like, if you pick up on how people say things, their facial expressions, their, understanding humans, which is just impossible, but understanding people helps massively. Because I'm saying things that I'm not saying, right? Through my body language, through my eye contact, or whatever. And if you pick on that, you might get some information out of me or an answer out of me that you didn't ask for, which is amazing to talk about, but you don't know until you can read that.
Yeah, it's quite interesting, because like for myself, I started like super nervous, and I'm naturally introverted, and just over time, just you learn things about different people, and you naturally understand better. But like you said, there's times where they don't listen, and, you know, they might change the topic of conversation too quickly, or they might leave it too long, or like a lot of them overpower the guest quite a lot. And I think listening is probably the most important part. Like, I would just listen. I would prefer if you just spoke the whole time, because then
it makes your life easier. Yeah.
But then now I like to make it a two-way conversation where I can tell people about myself, because I think as a podcast host, like, people are watching for the guest, but they're also watching for you, like you, the host, and they want to know about you as well. Because I'm just asking questions and I'm not saying anything about my experiences, and it's like, who are you? Like, why are you doing podcasts? Like, it's one of those ones. So another thing that you do is public speaking. So how's that different from being like a podcast guest? Like, how is it, you know, is it more pressure, would you say? Because I've never done it, but something I want to get into.
Did you know that they've done studies on this, or like polls? More people, it was quite a big one as well, more people would rather die, and I mean die, than do public speaking. Yeah, like they went around and asked people and say, would you rather die or stand on stage for 10 minutes and talk about whatever? And people said, no, I'd rather die. Like, how crazy is that? Die, then just stand on stage and speak to people. Like, I can't process that, because for me, standing on stage and talking to people is like when I'm super relaxed, super chilled. I love it. Like, honestly, when I'm there, I'm in, you know, this flow state people talk about when they work, like doing deep work. That is like one of the few times that I'm in a flow state. I lose track of time. I lose track of where I am. kind of like I'm just in this ephemeral zone, right? But most people would rather die, which like blows my mind. So yes, it's extra pressure, because if we fuck up on here, we just cut it out, or we just say, give me a sec, we'll restart, or like, do you know what I mean? It's like, there's no pressure. You know, no, there is pressure, sorry, but it's not live. So the pressure is like minimal. And even though I suppose like you could say I'm public speaking right now, like to you as my audience, but I'm not, because it's just you judging me and just you looking at me. When I'm public speaking, there's hundreds, there's tens, there's thousands of people who are judging me, or in my head they're judging me. I don't think this, but people do. They're judging me, they're thinking about me, they're commenting, they're watching my every movement, they're listening to this, they're doing this. And like for me, definitely, like, even though neither of them for me carry pressure, there is more pressure on stage, because you can't turn back the hands of time. Whereas here, it's very easy to do, literally. Like, so that's one thing. I would also say that presenting on stage, for me, it's more interesting, because instead of there being one of you and one reaction, there's 100 reactions. There's 100 people I'm trying to engage. It's more challenging. Engaging one person is, I think, a lot easier than trying to engage 100 different humans, different backgrounds, different languages, different cultures, different upbringings. But I'm trying to engage all of you on the same topic. That's hard. So I love that challenge. But public speaking is tough. If you're an introvert as well, it's even harder, because it's not in your nature to speak loud or to that many people or in front of people, right? It doesn't mean you can't do it. It doesn't mean you can't be the best public speaker in the world if you're an introvert. But I think being an extrovert, being social, being able to talk to anyone makes it a million times easier. I love public speaking. I would do that. I'll just do it for whatever, as a job, as a business. I love it.
How was the first time you did it? Was it same as always? Because you're like you say, you're extrovert, so I'm assuming it wouldn't have been that difficult. So I've spoken to public speakers before on the podcast as well, and to them it wasn't nothing like the first few times. And I understand if it was an introvert, probably the first few times was tough, and then eventually you go into like being an expert at it.
I think I'm trying to think where my first public speak. It would have been at some property event, some PIN or PPN, which I don't think they have anymore. This all died, but it would have been at one of those events, and I wouldn't have been that experienced. I would have been fairly new, which adds to pressure, because people are looking at you like, why are you on stage? You know what I mean? People with 10 times the property looking at you thinking, what have you got to say? So I think the first time it wasn't hard. I wasn't shaking. I was a little bit anxious, like in the sense that I was like, first time I'm doing something, like anything, you know, like, okay, don't know what to expect, don't know sort of how they're going to be, but yeah, it wasn't as hard as the first time I drove a car, it wasn't as hard as the first time I swam, it was, and actually no, the first time was in recruitment, because I did some like public speaking stuff there, like 3 in like 4 years, but even then it was, if you believe in your source, yeah, and that's SAUSTE, like source, if you believe in that, right, and you also believe in, and you don't give a shit what people think, then it's straightforward. And people say to me after events, oh, Tej, like, how are you good at public speaking? What's your tip? And I'm like, do you care what people think about you? And everyone's like, no. I'm like, yeah, you do, don't lie. They're like, yeah, I do. I'm like, so then you're not going to be good at public speaking until you stop, because most people's fear is not, am I speaking really quietly at key points? Am I going really fast to build attention? Am I then pausing and slowing it down? All those little tricks for talking, I can teach you in an hour. You'll learn it like that. But you'll still get on stage and you won't kill it like you, who doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks, will kill it. Because you get up there and you're like, look, here's what I know, here's what I don't know, this is what I'm talking about. I'm going to talk about it with my chest. And that's it. And you come off stage and yeah, you get feedback and you do care what people think. But you have to get up there and just do your thing and deliver, and not be like, oh, what are they thinking? Oh, they hate me. All this bullshit. Just don't give a shit what people think. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's just how you are. I think if you're just authentic and you say it how it is, then it's going to come out like that. So, to sum it up, like, it wasn't that difficult for you. You had anxiety, but what would you say then, something that you do struggle with and that you want to change?
I struggle with uncertainty and a lack of control when the thing has an impact. So, I don't know when I'm going to die. I don't know what email I'm going to get on Monday. I don't know if I'm going to have a stomachache on Tuesday. I probably will, because I have IBS, always a fucking stomachache. But I don't know these things. That doesn't bother me, because like I just really have no idea when they're going to happen. But what bothers me is we're in a business deal and we haven't got to the point of signing the contract yet, and you're being a dick. And I'm like, is it going through? Is it not? Like, do I put time in it? Do I not? I'm in the middle of a refurb and I'm like, is the builder turning up? Is he not? Is the quality going to be as I want? Is it not? Like that uncertainty where it's something that I care about, I have some level of control over, and it impacts me as in, like, yeah, I really want to buy the business. So like, you know, I care about it. Or, you know, I've sent an email that is a bit, you know, it might lose me a client or a relationship, which is, well, I've probably already accepted, but I'm still like, so that uncertainty, and I've never spoken about this actually, that uncertainty, because I've realized more and more, that creates the closest thing to anxiety that I can feel, like in my stomach. And like just, it can affect my sleep sometimes. Usually I'm like, hit the bed, I'm gone. And then I track my sleep and it's usually like pretty solid. And I don't get fatigued from like lack of sleep. But yeah, that uncertainty is something that I wish I could deal with better, because as you know, in business, that's like daily. You know, so I don't get it daily. I get it when it's a big thing, like a business I'm purchasing falls through, a property I'm developing, the builder runs, you know, big things I get it on. But the day-to-day kind of minutiae and that uncertainty, I don't feel it. But yeah, that's one thing I would say I wish I didn't feel or have.
Would you say it's getting worse? More money, more problems?
No. More money, more problems, yes, I agree, hot type biggie. But I'm kind of finding it's more money, less problems when I stay within a certain scale. Because if I have more money and I get a parking ticket, do I give a shit? No. Do I give a shit that my car does 20 flipping miles to the gallon? It's starting to piss me off, I can't lie, but it's not a problem. I don't look at my statement and think, like, how can I afford this? I'm in a privileged position I've worked to that I don't have to think about that. I'm in a position where I have private healthcare. But if they didn't cover a condition, I'm paying for it. You know what I mean? Like I looked at getting some surgery on one of my joints. It was like $4,000. Why am I paying that? I pay taxes. The NHS is free. I'm not doing that. I'll pay $4,000. So for me, it's actually like more money to an extent. And when I say extent, not being like a billionaire or multi-millionaire or someone who's under security threat, or to the point where I'm like, I have too much money. I need to buy a Ferrari just to do something. You know, there's people who have like so much money. They're like, here, have $100,000. Give it back to me in 2 years. You know, like, I think because I'm below that kind of scale at the moment, it's actually more money, less problems. And what I was saying earlier is that when everything, so let's say your outgoings are $2,500 a month, bills, mortgage, rent, go Nando's, clothes, everything, yeah? And you got a little bit to invest, it's $2,500 a month, let's say that. Once you reach $3,000 in income a month, and if it's passive from assets, I think you're reborn as a different person. Not a different person, sorry. You're reborn with a different set of lenses on your eyes, because before that you're worrying about, can I pay the mortgage? Where's that money coming from? If you've got a job, it's a bit different. This is more for business. And where's that coming from? My income is not stabilized monthly yet. Oh, I really want that car, but I shouldn't because I got this to do. Fuck, got a parking ticket. Oh, I'm going to Central London. I want to drive, but ULEZ, congestion, parking. Yeah, it adds up to like 50, 60 quid sometimes. I don't know about that. Oh, someone wants on a podcast. Oh, can I come Birmingham? It's going to cost a full tank. But now, once you pass that point, and you know, if people want to, they can get to this point. When they pass this point, you're reborn, because you don't think about that. You just think, yeah, man, I'm coming Birmingham. Let's have fun. Oh, we're going out tonight, and you know, we need to go to London. Okay, I'll pay for parking. Okay, you know, we want to go to, you know, whatever, Dubai for a week. It's not my favorite place in the world at all, but you know, you want to go there for a week. It's expensive. I don't look at my account and say, can I afford this? It's a case of, I know I can, because I know my income. I know what stable income I have. I know what unstable income I have. I know what potential income I have. And because of that, I'm a different person. I can help people more. I can give to charity if I want. I can pay for a friend's meal because, you know, they spotted me years back, or they, you know, whatever. Like, so you're reborn as a different person who doesn't have to worry about the mundane stuff that, unfortunately, most people, especially in the living crisis, are worrying about. So you be more creative. You got more time for stuff. You know, I walk around my garden sometimes just looking at my strawberries, like just thinking, just whatever, because I can. Because I know I'm not losing income in those 10 minutes. And I'm so blessed and privileged to be in this position that I've created and worked for, that I can do that. And that's what I want. I don't want 100 mil and an empire I want an empire in here. And like, as long as I believe I've got that and I've got control over it, I'm happy, innit? You know what I mean?
It's a limiting factor, and I think it was on my episode with Sean. He mentioned, like, when you have that financial freedom, when you have that money, it brings out who you actually are. So
yeah, 100%.
If you're a prick, like, you're gonna become more of that. And
100%.
if you're a good person, you'll be able to give back more, and you're not limiting yourself with that fear in your head. And they always say, like, you know, the rich people that are really wealthy, they say the main thing that affected them was the fear of having to pay bills and all that. Once you've gone past that, there's other problems, but it's one of the main things.
100%. And you can stop. You can say, you know, I'm earning 20 grand a month. I'm cool. I'll stop. And then, I mean, look, no one does because we're entrepreneurs, we keep going. But you can do that and just say, I need 5K to live now. I'm living a flipping good life. The rest of it, I'll invest in, give it to kids, give it to charity, whatever. You can do that. People don't, but you can always do that. And then you can stop the chasing of money and look for something else. You know, there's always, not always, but when you have money, often there is a choice.
Yeah, but some people, like these days, some people are like, they won't have, or they'll have their money and they'll just spend it on the most flashy thing. Like, I think
like a 23 plate Audi with a custom number plate. That's sort of flashy, yeah?
It's
sorry.
2020 plate.
Oh,
that's
okay.
what I heard on Steve's podcast when you spoke about your car. Like, I'm the same. My car doesn't, you know, make that engine noise. Not like yours. But, you know, I have it because I love it. And I've customized it and I've done this and I've done that to it because I love cars.
Yeah,
not
same.
like people out there who buy cars because they want to have a car to show off to people.
Yeah.
Like, we love cars, and that's what I do, and it's one of my, you know, biggest expenses, but I do it because I love it, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Same. But also it's a business. It can be a business decision. I know the second I buy the next car I'm buying, cars, I know it's going to unlock certain clubs, certain networks, certain events with people who can afford this car, which is automatically, you know, 5x what the rooms I'm currently in, or the kind of networking events I'm in. And then also I know just by having it, people seeing it on Instagram, people just knowing it elevates. Unfortunately, in the shallow society, it elevates you, it changes things. You make, I believe you will make more money, people will invest in you more, even though you could be the richest person in the world. Like these uncles walking around, you know, when they carry their carry bags to gym, they're the richest uncles here, yeah, with Dar stain on their top. But you look at them and you'd think, nothing. But you see, you know, man financing something with his life savings, and you think, oh, you're a baller. But despite that, that's how we think. So I know the benefit, especially when it's a new car like yours, for example. I know the benefit of newer car. I know the benefit of that in business and perception, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a perception that people have. That's why everyone poses with Lamborghinis these days.
It works though. Because how else do you judge success? Yeah, you go on company's house, but barely, you know, the accounts there are rubbish, you can't see anything. Like, how can we verify anyone? I don't think there's actually a way to verify anyone.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know, I think, like, people that do it, like, I only you know, validate it when I see people that buy those cars or have those nice cars, when they actually have a passion for cars. I don't agree with it when people just buy cars because they look nice and, you know, oh, I want a car, I want to show off. Like, okay, it's a business decision, but at the end of the day, like, if you don't, like, actually get excited being behind the wheel and driving it, it's a, you know, it's just a passion, you know. And and obviously these days people use that to their advantage.
Yeah.
Like, but sometimes you have to do it, but at the same time, I don't know. I saw your recent post about something about like cars and.
So let's say this. I pose in front of a Ferrari SF90. So that's a nice one, nice hybrid model. Expensive, it's like 300, 400 grand. I pose in front of that, arms crossed, looking all drippy, and I say, you know, property is the reason. You know, buy my course, and in 6 months, why won't you be driving a Ferrari, right? Is it possible to buy a Ferrari after being in property for 6 months? Fuck yeah. Deal sourcing, SA, 3-4 grand a month, you finance it. You can, but you're probably going to be missing a lot of other shit in your life. Is it realistic that most people are going to do that and are going to then have enough expendable income, spare income to get a Ferrari, especially an SF90? No. But if I do that, right, but you stand in front of, I don't know, like a Mercedes C-Class, yeah? Normal 22 plate, normal, fairly expensive car, but you're in front of it. And you had the same caption as me, and our course costs 5 grand. Who's making money off that?
You.
Me. You are not. I promise you're not. Yeah. Even if we switch away, it doesn't matter. It's not even about us. It's about what we're standing in front of. So I get why people do it. Now, what I don't agree with is when people do it when they're liars, dickheads, they've got 2 essays and suddenly they're essay mentors in business class, traveling the world, all this bollocks. Like, after 2 essays, like, bro, if you haven't even been through a high season or low season, you haven't had a leak when a customer's in it, you haven't had a bad review, you haven't had condoms all over the floor and shit on the rug. You know what I mean? They haven't had SA, but they're teaching. Do you know what I'm saying? I want to learn from SA from you because you've seen fucking everything, I bet, in Birmingham City Centre essays. So, especially on Broad Street. So, like, I want to learn from you. I don't care if there's no flash, but like, I could, like, obviously I know you and your brother, so I know what you're doing. But, like, is it believable when you're standing in front of a C-Class, this, and this, and your posts, so back to that profiles, yeah, my SF90 post, all of my other posts are lifestyle, yeah, Novikov, I don't know what's expensive in Birmingham, Fumo or something. The music's so loud there, man.
Cavalli.
Cavalli, I have no budget at Cavalli. I walk in there and just say I'm fucking getting everything because it's so good. So big up Cavalli. Sponsor me, guys, man. Give me like a black card. Imagine all my posts are lifestyle, yeah, like minor, like not like minor lifestyle, but just, oh, you got a nice watch, bro, let me wear it. You know, like fake lifestyle.
Yeah.
But imagine all your posts are, here's 3 tips on SA, or here's the worst thing we discovered, or here's our real bookings, and then guess what, 1 cancelled, we lost 2 grand. Your profile is way more important than mine. You're doing so much more than me. You're so much more valid with the value you're adding. I will sell more courses than you, I promise you. I will, and we see it. Like, we see people with this profile selling courses, doing things when they have no experience, not enough experience, they're chatting shit, they're lying, they're whatever, they're misdirecting and misleading. But you who's actually doing it and has real posts that are actually fucking helpful, you ain't selling shit. Like, it's just because what does society say? It says, I'm successful, I've got all this stuff, I'm out here, you know, rollie on one wrist, rollie on the other, you know, Richard Mille on my ankle. That's what it shows. Whereas people, even though you've got evidence of it, they look at you and say, nah, I'm going to choose Mr. Ferrari boy. Yeah. That's society. And so, look, if you're actually talking the talk and you're doing what you should, I am all for showing that. Because people need to see it to believe it, unfortunately. But if you're faking, you're lying, and you're misdirecting, then you're a dickhead, innit? Yeah. That's simple as that.
I just think, like, it's foolish to even fall into that, because it's obvious to see who's doing what. Like, you can see. I don't think you'd even need to be in that business to just see. Like, you can be any business, and if you're just posting lifestyle, it's kind of obvious that you.
But you'd think so, yeah. But it's not the case. Smart people in business, people with jobs, they fall for it because they hate their job, they hate their business, they're not happy. You know, we come along and say, yeah, 7 months I had a Ferrari. Yeah, it's a 300 grand one. Yeah, the hybrid. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I don't know property, so. I mean, this guy's got proof of it, and he's saying 7 months, and I don't know anyone else doing it. So, okay, that's what people do. I've seen it time and time again.
Yeah, but people, if they enjoy misleading people, it's just, if it's not in you to do that, it's not in you to do that. You mislead people because it's going to come back around to you.
God's always watching, innit? When the day comes, bro, when the day comes, we'll see what happens, innit?
At some point, because you got to live with that. You got to live with that guilt if you have the guilt, that is, you know, leading people on, and, you know, you might give them some value, but you're not doing it. You're with bad. You're kind of doing it with bad intentions, not good intentions, because you should want to provide them value, not worry about the money. Of course, you need the money as another source of income, but you just want to provide them the value. But if you're not doing that and you're misleading them, then. I
said something the other day. I was speaking to Shaz. I was ranting about this. I said the leadership has become misleadership, and leaders have become misleaders. You open your phone, what do you see? It's misdirection, it's misleading. It's, you know, turnover is different to net profit, right? You know this in SA, because your turnover is fucking huge.
Yeah.
but the net profit can really be miles apart, which is just the business or any business. But you could post, 5 mil, I'm 5 mil SA business, we're pocketing 5 mil. What? Everyone's gonna think net profit 5 mil, but that's not the case.
Yeah.
That's turnover. Net profit's a mil. That's still amazing. It's still good, but net profit's half a mil, but people will just say that number, like £1 million business, Like when I talk about my cleaning business, the turnover is like 200 grand, but I call it a 50 grand business because the net profit's 50 grand. So people out here saying numbers, saying accolades. There's some people who say, oh yeah, I've got like 100 units, and they count like communal space in the HMO as a unit, or they like, it's honestly like, it's just mad to me. The people talk shit, but it works. Crime pays.
Do you think it works out with them, or do they get found out? I don't think everyone gets found out.
Look, I think they get found out, but by that time they're rich enough that no one who gives a shit. Do you know what I mean? If you're a baller and people are like, oh, you lied to us, you'd be like, alright, chat to the rollie, because I don't want to hear it. So that's what I think. It's too late. People are obviously scared to say names because, me, the most fucking, I'll cuss anyone, I won't say names because of libel and slander and defamation, things like that. I'm not getting sued. Yeah. Leave it for the rest of them and want to, and it's very real and possible to sue people for that, right? Like, obviously it's complex, but it's still possible. So no one gets called out about it, because there'll always be the fans, the people who say, no, like, they're right, or they changed my life. I did their training, it was amazing, and I've got 0 properties, but my life's changed. You're like, so I think liars always get found out, but to what extent and when, I think it's too late sometimes. And it's how can you call someone out with the laws that we have? Like, you just can't. You either get punched physically or legally. So you're like, what can you do?
Or if they've done something to you directly that affects you,
then you take legal action. Then you'd like, then it's kind of different. But you can't just, I can't be like, so I think this person is lying about this. I think that person's lying about that, because it gets a bit technical, and I'm just not here for that.
Yeah.
One day I will be. When I have 100 grand ready for legal fees to waste, I'm coming for all of you, man, by name. Trust me. We'll go court. It's fine.
Yeah, I think as well, what they might get found out by is their own selves, because if they're putting up a facade, like, if they're not being authentic, like, you can't continue like living like that. You can for a little while, but if you're not being your true self and not putting out there what you want, then you're not gonna, like, and all the people that we know, like, everyone posts and puts out different content, but all the content they put out is themselves. They put out what they want to put out. Some person might put out different kind of views of the apartments and stuff like that, and someone might put a different side of it, like the maintenance stuff, I don't know, something, but they just want to put that out. They want to document that side of it. But if they're being authentic, that's like the key.
Yeah, and I agree with everything.
Yeah. Would you say you're 100% authentic?
Yeah, I've not lied publicly. I share as much as I can without getting into trouble. About when builders have done things wrong, when I've I openly admit, I forgot about one property once because I forgot about a few properties because I was doing so many. I just forgot that I had a refurb, and my friend there was like, I haven't been to that house in a few weeks. What's going on with that? You sold it? I was like, shit. And my essay, no, not my essay, there was one house that needed a new roof, and I spent 2 months deciding because I forgot about it for a month, and I spent a month just fucking being an idiot, being like, oh, I don't want to spend the money. And I did eventually. I was like, well, that was stupid. So I say it as it is, and I share everything that I can, because what's to hide? There's always ups and downs. And if an investor sees this, or a customer, and says, I don't want to work with you, you had difficulties, I'm going to be like, who are you going to work with then? Because we all have difficulties. I just talk about it. And there's too many people, even people who think they're being authentic and showing all sides of it, who are just not. And I know stuff. I filmed videos with someone once, and we were talking on the video. It was a development, the hardest type of property. He's like, yeah, it was easy. I did it from abroad. Did it just a couple of techs. Had a great project manager. No, development's not hard. And I thought, okay, maybe maybe this was a really easy deal. Maybe. I thought, this is fucking weird. And we put the camera off, and he's like, mate, that was fucking the hardest deal of my life. It was so fucking hard. I had to fly back 3 times. I couldn't enjoy my holiday. And I was like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I've got to go now. Never released it. A few weeks later, hi man, where's the footage? I was like, oh bro, these cameras, man, just totally deleted. Because then I was too new to say you're a liar. Whereas now if someone did that, I'd be like, do you want to tell the truth on camera? Then we can talk about publishing it. So there's nothing to hide unless it's like right now I'm taking litigation against someone. I can't talk about that yet. And hopefully once it's done, I will be able to talk about it. But stuff like that, I don't talk about because I just can't. Anything else, like I'm happy to talk about. You know, I talk about the cleaners messaging me in Portuguese, you know. No fala portugués, yo. Pero estoy aprendiendo español. So I can get along with it. But like, who would share things like that and daily issues? People just don't, because it doesn't sell. I could sell more courses if I did the whole Ferrari boy thing. If I did different things. I know I would. There's more money here at the end of my fingertips.
Yeah, you just don't want it. But like with the authenticity, I think it's just like you said before, like not caring what people think. That's where most of it derives from.
Yeah.
Not people care too much what others think, and a lot of the decisions, and some of us might still be guilty of it. Like some decisions I make, you know, might be derived from that, and I'm not afraid to admit it, you know. But I think it's just part of the journey, and you just have to keep that battle going. But some people, if they're too into it, they might not start something, you know, because what's this person gonna think, or you know, what's this person gonna say?
100%, it's true. People worry too much, man. Like, I get it though, you know, like especially in certain cultures, like Asian cultures, our parents are like, oh, you're not a doctor, you're not a lawyer. Like family, like, property, what are you doing? Like, so I get why people feel that way, and it's so hard to change it because as humans, it's sort of ingrained in us to care what people think, and like, it's important evolutionarily, right? If you're trying to find a mate, you're trying to be as part of a tribe, you kind of had to care what people think. But nowadays, you just form your own tribe of, you know, it's different to kind of back in the day. As humans, we have a lot of evolutionary things that stick with us, but that we don't necessarily need. And I think that is one of them. But also social media. Like, you look online and you look at how much money people spend on clothes and fashion and cars and whatever, just to, you know, when they meet people, be like, I'm trying to be like you, big man, or look at, you know what I mean? Like, just for that little dopamine hit. But then they go home and they're like, oh my God, I spent 300 quid at like Zara this month, like, for God's sake, you know what I mean? It's like, people do it for people care so much about the opinion of people they don't care about, who don't care about them, like too much. I don't know, it's Instagram and social media does not help that regard.
Yeah, so one thing you speak quite a lot about, and I think on your stories and stuff, you know, when you go into a gym, I think there was one story you posted where you was deciding between the closer gym and the further gym, and it was, I can't remember what it was exactly.
Yes.
But it was like, you was like deciding between it, and you was like, this gym has nice facility, but this one's closer. Which one did you end up going to? So
they're actually part of the same like branch. They got two gyms. Lately, because I've been busy, I've been going to the closer one. But when on like the weekend, like I treat myself and I go to the further one. But yeah, no, because I've been busy, I've been going to the close one. But in about a month or so, when like things maybe chill a little bit, like with the cleaning business and I outsource a few more things, I'm going to the further one. Like I was, and Dee's been on your podcast, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Dee Ludlow, yeah. So he's about efficiency and like getting the barber to his house, going to the closest gym. I'm like the opposite. I'm like, I love efficiency, but I'm like, I'm going to drive an extra 10 minutes to have Afro beats while I work out on, you know what I mean? I'm going to drive 10 minutes to have a bougie gym because I enjoy that more than 10 minutes more on my laptop, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's important to me, and I think I lift heavier and work out harder at the better gym.
Well, that's interesting. So how's the gym affected your like lifestyle? How's it been?
So yeah, I can't, like when I wake up, so on a rest day when I wake up and I'm not going gym, I'm just walking or like whatever, like I hate it, because for me gym is like get up at like 5:36. In winter it's probably a bit later, it's so dark. Get up, straight to gym, come back, chill, eat breakfast, and then kind of get on with the day. And I could come back at like 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm not fussed, unless I have calls and meetings. For me, it sets that morning off right, it sets the day off right, because whether this is healthy or not, there's almost a guilt. If I haven't done a certain level of movement, I think I shouldn't be eating like X amount, you know, or I shouldn't be eating that type of food because I've sat on my ass all day. Whereas when I go to gym, and I'm very key on nutrition and health and everything, because I study biochemistry as well, I kind of feel like, okay, there's some allowance for certain things, or I just feel better in myself having them once I've moved. And for me, it works because it ensures that, I love food and love cooking, that I keep moving and I'm keeping myself active. So for me, it sets the day off right, provides so many endorphins, makes me feel good, makes me look good. people perceive someone hench, someone overweight, who gets a better perception? Hench person, without a doubt. There might be an element of intimidating for certain sizes, but there's just a perception of they look after themselves. Like, to keep that much muscle mass, you got to eat good, you got to train good, and you got to keep doing it. You know, muscle is calorie intensive, so there's so many reasons that I enjoy going to the gym, and it's like zoning out. You know, you meditate, right? You sit there 5 minutes, breathe.
Yeah.
For me, the gym is my meditation. I am in the gym. I'm nowhere else. I'm zoned. I'm in flow. I'm in the gym. That's it.
Yeah, I think as well, like the thing you mentioned about person being in shape and not being in shape. There's a video I saw a clip yesterday, and it was like two exact same people and the exact same value. And you might have seen the clip. And they walk into a room, and who are you going to do business with? The one that's overweight, and they have the exact same like net worth and all that kind of stuff, and the businesses. But the person that's in shape, you choose him over the one that's, you know. So it's makes an effect in business as well. So you know how we were speaking about earlier, we said, you know, some things you do out of, you know, wanting to do it, and some things you don't want to do it. Would you say gym is you wanting to do it?
I want to do it. I need to do it. It's like so.
No, you need to do it, or you want to do it?
All of the above. I need to do it because I believe as humans we have an obligation to our very short lives and humankind to aim to be the best we can be. Now, that doesn't mean the richest, but it means the healthiest we can be. It means to look after our skin. It means to lift heavy shit and, unfortunately, do some cardio, which I don't like doing. But I believe as a human, and this actually contradicts evolution. Muscle is very calorie intensive. When we're like, if we're starving, muscle is not that good to eat. Fat is a store of energy. It's a lot better. So actually being hench doesn't really suit us in evolutionary terms to a certain level. It's inefficient. But nowadays, obviously things have changed. But for me as a human, when I think of like optimum human, I think of David Goggins. I think of like Mike Thurston. I think of that body. And for me, I think if we can be that, why aren't we? Why shouldn't we? Why aren't we aiming for that? So that's why I need to go, because my core principle is that's what I'm aiming for. And also, when you're the size of like Mike Thurston, you can eat a lot of food, and I'm you know what I mean? I'm ready for the extra calories because I can eat a lot of food, but I don't for reasons of health, and I don't need the calories right now. I want to because I enjoy it. It's just a total, like I said, zen zone. I also love when you're seeing progress, and it's slow. It's not like other things. Like, say you're painting a wall. Once you've done half a wall, you're done. You're painted. With gym, you're going to be there 10 times a month. You know, more than that, like 20 times a month, hour every time, doing fucking curls, 3 times 10 reps again, doing the same shit over and over again. And then you might see a little bit of muscle growth, a bit of change. But that reward is so massive for me because it's getting me closer to what I believe I should be as a human. And also it benefits me business-wise, like in that example there. And yeah, I just enjoy it. You know, we should be the best we can be when it comes to health and fitness. And again, because I did biochemistry and because I still read books about science, disease, everything, I'm very aware on a daily basis of what I'm putting into my body and what I'm doing with it is going to affect me now and in 50 years. There's a quote, I think it's by Socrates, it says, "Let food be thy medicine before..." No, wait, let me... Which one? What is it? "Let food be thy medicine before medicine is thy food." You know, when you get to 7, you're swallowing 20 tablets at a time. Yeah. It's like, well, hold on. We have the power to heal ourselves with food and with movement. And yeah, the West doesn't like that. They say, oh, you're ill, pop a pill. Oh, you got pop a pill. It's like, because there's money in it. But actually, and we know from our culture as well, there's so many things like haldi, turmeric, that now England suddenly discovered and selling in bottles for like £4. And we're like, we've been doing this since like day one, and it's like healed us and kept us, you know. So there's so many natural remedies that are not in the West that are getting here that for me are important and linked to gym so that I can have a healthy health span and a healthy lifespan as well.
I think it's very important to enjoy it because you know, it's only sometimes I feel like not going to the gym, but most of the time I'm happy to go there and I'm happy to see, you know, the slow progress. And I think it's like with the gym and with business, it's quite similar. You know, the progress is not overnight. It's slowly, but you feel it. Like when you do it, after every session you feel good, after every day in business you feel good, and then maybe like 2 months down the line, 3 months, you start seeing slow progress. But it gives you that discipline, creates that discipline within you. And like you said, you aim for something and you take those slow steps towards it, and it's definitely very enjoyable. And we owe it to ourselves to be going towards that.
100%.
All right, so where are you seeing yourself in the next couple of years? What's your plans?
So yeah, a couple more years of M&A, buy 1 or 2 more businesses depending on the size of them, and then I'll probably go have another retirement. I like my mini retirements, and then probably I'll focus on running the businesses, because like I keep buying businesses, but I just don't have a need. So 1 or 2 more businesses, run them, grow them, scale them, maybe flip one of them. Who knows? Maybe buy a couple more property. I don't know. Keep investing in stocks and shares. I really like that investment. Passive. I get some dividends. I just like investing in stocks and shares, and picking them, and also doing automated stuff. And then just to carry on, being present, being happy, loving, being loved, laughing, going out, like enjoying life. I don't have like I need X many deals, X many. I'm kind of past that. Like for me, 2 businesses max, get the monthly kind of net profit of like all my businesses and everything up to like 20k. And then when I reach that point, there'll be the mini retirement again. Keep traveling. I've got like 4 or 5 holidays this year, which I haven't been in so long. I haven't been since my honeymoon last year, I don't think. So get some good traveling in. Buy 1 or 2 more cars. I just don't have a drive right now, and I have neighbours, and I go to the gym at 6 a.m. So you can imagine the sound of certain cars in the morning. That's about it really. It's a bit wishy-washy, because as long as I'm happy and the people around me are happy and I'm helping them and they're helping me and we're having a good time, and
it's important to just be content, and you seem just relaxed about it, which is I think how it should be, and being grateful for what you've achieved and what you will achieve. I appreciate your time coming down today, coming down to Birmingham. I know you love it. You're gonna go to Cavalli later.
Listen, don't tempt me, man. Nah, I haven't. I'm making keema actually. Shaz's mom, Hota Shaz's mom, Auntie Ji, sent me a keema recipe. So I'm making Pakistani keema, because Pakistani keema is. I love Pakistani food, bro. Yeah. It's just this. I know it's similar to Indian Punjabi food, but it's different level. So I've got to go to the butcher's now, get the keema, go home and make it. And then my nanny Ji will be like, "Why are you home so late, even though it's 6?" So
don't worry, Cavalli next time, man. But thank you for coming down, bro, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you check out Tej's Instagram, his YouTube. It will be in the link in the description. Subscribe, leave a comment if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you.